Yes, I do that too. Yes. You know, the whole thing is something.
If everybody can put yourselves on mute, we're
I do that too.
Miss Pledger, you can start.
Sorry. Good evening.
Recording in progress.
I am so happy to be here to what is, can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
All right. I am so happy to take part in tonight's event at what is really being called a mental health back to school pep rally. Love it. Miss Betty, my name's Marsha Pledger, and I'm the new editorial and engagement editor at the Florida Times Union. We at the Times Union are thrilled to partner with I'm a Star Foundation to address the important issue of youth mental health issues, mental health challenges, I should say. So, put aside my title from the newspaper, I'm also the mother of a teen. So I get how it's tough navigating life in general before this pandemic. You know, just being a teen, on top of the everyday stressors that can range from home issues to just trying to do your best in school with activities. And, sometimes, you got cyberbullying, you got all kind of challenges going on. It can be a lot. So, I'm so excited that you guys are, the teens have actually put this whole event together. We are simply just partners, and I'm so proud of all the teens and this foundation for doing such an amazing job. So I want to turn it over to you guys soon. But I just want to say a couple things first. Welcoming everybody and thanking everybody for joining us. But when you add COVID-19 to everything that's been going on, and right now, just when we thought that things were improving, we're taking a back step here. It's been a tough year, even in the year before, with so many people going to school from home. There's been a growing number of students that are reporting experiencing persistent sadness, hopelessness, isolation, even suicide, and other mental health issues. So, COVID is huge, and between unexpected deaths of family members from COVID-19, um, I'm talking isolation from friends and loss of daily structure, and this is the support systems of your being hanging out with your friends. It's been tough. So I just wanted to say that I'm so excited that we could be part of this um, event this evening. And I'm so proud of all the teens and I'm Star Foundation. But before I turn it over to I'm Star Foundation, who did all of the work, by the way, go teens. I'm talking surveys, talking to all kind of teens before y'all even think about addressing the professionals who are here to answer some questions. And thank you for all the professionals who are giving us your time this evening. But I would be remiss though if I didn't just take a moment to just talk about stigmas, because I think that when it comes to challenges, it's mental health challenges, people suffering in silence. Um, we all need help, whether we're adults or kids. We all need help from time to time, and there's a stigma, unfortunately, that involves when we seek help. So I'm really excited to hear tonight from the mental health professionals and from the kids, the teens who put this all together about that, because I trust me, as a mother of a teen, I know when she went through some challenges, when I asked her to just talk to a school counselor or a therapist, I don't need that, whatever. I get it. So, but I just want to say this: there's no shame in seeking help. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness; it's a sign of strength. Okay, trust and believe that. So that being said, please understand that I do understand that you guys are teens, and even some kids who are participating in your this event, or even younger than that. And so, it's okay to be anonymous. I just need to be reinforced that it doesn't matter if your camera's on or off. It doesn't matter, because it's all about the information this evening and the resources. So I'm excited. So I want to turn it over to I'm a Star Foundation, and I want to say thank you for this opportunity on behalf of the Florida Times Union to be part of this. Mental health back to school pep rally. I love the way you put that, Betty Bernie.
Thank you. Jordan Bell, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jordan Bell, and I am a proud member of the I'm a Star Foundation. Mental health is an important aspect of everyone's life, as it refers to the state of your well-being. It affects what you do and how you do it. Your mental health isn't delicate. That's why when the pandemic hit, a lot of people's mental health decreased significantly. But even in this time of need, making sure your mental health needs are met is a challenging task. Even though daily tasks may seem like a hassle sometimes, I would like to let each and every one of you on the Zoom call today to know that you are resilient and capable of doing great things. Not everyone can say that they lived through a pandemic, and for that I commend you for bouncing back, even though the world seems against us all in this present time. Today we have come to talk about our mental health and see what we can do to better our community. And for the students listening in, please do not be afraid to let us know what is bothering you. You can voice your concerns in the comment section or reach out to I'm a Star at a later date. With that being said, I now give the floor to my coworker, Demaya.
Good evening. My name is Demaya Dukes, and I am a 10th grade student attending Paxton School for Advanced Studies. We have asked this group of esteemed panelists here today to discuss the numerous ways this pandemic has affected us. The mental health of the students. We are so grateful and excited that the Florida Times Union staff has listened to us and partnered with us multiple times to provide a platform for these very important conversations. Thank you, Florida Times Union, for believing in us, listening to us, and partnering with us to help us make a difference. Tonight, we are here to shine a light on the importance on the mental health of students in the height of a worldwide epidemic, which is more important now than ever. As the 2021-2022 school year rolls in, and the number of cases rises to almost parallel the number of cases in the start of the pandemic.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Madison Harmon, and I'm an 8th grader at La Villa School of the Arts. I'm a smart, talented, and resilient student in the I'm a Star Foundation. It is my pleasure to introduce tonight's panelists for today's session, who will be providing insight on the topic of mental health. Dr. Francesca Valero Sims, Director of Education and Training for Baptist and Wilson Children's Behavioral Health, Katrina Taylor, Director of School Behavioral Health and Director of Duval County Public Schools, Natalie Shepard and her son, Trey Shepard, the authors of the book, The Day My World Changed, Helping Children Understand COVID-19. Brian Dawkins, member of the NFL Hall of Fame and CEO of Impact Foundation. Victoria Perry, I'm a Star Staff and Elementary Monitoring Coordinator. Bailey Moore, Ms. Raines 2021 through 2022. The Honorable School Board Member, Dr. Kelly Coker, Duval County School Board District 1. Diana Green, Superintendent of Duval County Public Schools. Thank you all for being here and helping us shed light on a subject that is often overlooked. If you're viewing and have any questions, feel free to place them in the chat or in the comments on YouTube. Before we begin our panel, I would like to ask our very own NFL Hall of Famer, Brian Dawkins, who continuously shows up to participate and support I'm a Star, to take about 5 minutes and give us a word about his foundation called Impact, which highlights the mental wellness of students from disadvantaged backgrounds.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Welcome. Thank you for having me, first of all, everyone. I'm blessed to be a part of this once again. And my foundation does quite a few things. We're talking about mental health here, so we're going to talk about that today. So I guess my charge is to help you understand that it's okay not to be okay sometimes. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to tell someone that you're not okay. Not everybody. You don't need to tell everybody you're not okay, but for specific individuals in your life, to reach out to those individuals to let them know that, you know what, I'm not okay right now. And so that is a powerful, powerful tool to have. And so while we're all in different places and some of us have been isolated more than others, that's a tough place to be in. That's a very tough place to be in. But here's the other part of my charge. One of the things that my mom would do when I was growing up, right there in Jacksonville, Florida, born right on the north side of town, right north on right over by Yancey Park off of Lem Turner. That's where I grew up. So one of the things my mom would say when I got on her last nerve, you know, anybody has ever gotten on their parents' last nerve? I used to get on my mom's last nerve from time to time. And so one of the things she would tell me is, boy, what do you want? Like, that means that I'm on her last nerve. My grandmama would do it at times too. So I thought about that as I began to think about what to talk to you about. Because that's what I want you to ask yourself. What do I want? What do I want out of life? I know you may not be able to think too big, but I want you to think of, what if right now you could think of something and tomorrow it would come true? What would that thing which you would love to do with your life, in your life? Dream that big. Have that as a vision for where you want to be in your life so you can go after that. See, here's what a vision does. Here's what a dream does. It allows you to focus in on it when everything else is chaotic. So when everything else is going out of whack, I have something that I can focus in on to get better at. I know that athletics was what I wanted to do. Playing football was not the thing that I actually wanted to do. I wanted to be a basketball player, but it changed and I became a football player and was pretty good at it. But that was a vision that I had, and I knew that was my vision. So when things began to go chaotic in the neighborhood, sometimes some of the things that I saw going on around me, I knew that I wanted to do that. So my vision and my focus was on that. So when you have a vision, when you have a dream, here's the last thing, write it down. Don't just think about it. Write your vision down. In my favorite book, in the book of Habakkuk, it says to write your vision and make it plain. Write your vision and make it plain. So when you write your vision, you know where you want to be. Here's what begins to happen. You begin to not want to do things that will prevent you from getting the thing that you said that is what you want. So this is how you can begin to focus that extra energy when you're feeling down or whatever. This is a way that you can refocus that energy to begin to go study into something. There's so much on YouTube, good and bad, but there's some things on YouTube and some other aspects of social media that you can begin to research the thing that you want to do so that you can begin to get better at it right where you are. Spending that extra time instead of doing some things that will put negative stuff into your mindset. No, let's put some positive things into your mindset. That's how you build up your mental health. That's how you stay mentally strong. And we're going to talk about probably some other things on here, but I wanted to give you that. And this is not just for the young adults here. This is for all of us. This is for all of us. If you write that vision down, get it down, make it plain, and don't vary from it. And don't allow people around you to say that, oh man, that's not going to happen. If I had listened to people to say that I wouldn't be able to do what I've done in my life, I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't have been blessed to play 16 years in the National Football League if I listened to people that said it wasn't supposed to be me, because it wasn't supposed to be me. It was supposed to be so many other people, but I had a vision. I had a goal. I had a mindset that I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to that, no matter what's going on in my neighborhood, no matter what's going on in the world, right? I'm going to focus in on what it is I have a passion for. And I believe that if you do this, and if you surround yourself with the right people that are not going to try to tear you down, but build you up, we're going to hear some amazing stories about some of the things all of you will do with your life. All right. So I'll stop there. I don't want to go too much further, but I wanted to give you that charge, and I hope that blesses you.
Mr. Dawkins, because
Yes.
of time, we will have to end it here, but thank you for speaking, and we hope to see you soon.
Remain on the line, Mr. Dawkins, for your questions.
Indeed.
Thank you, Mr. Dawkins, for your continuous support of I'm a Star and your passion for helping children overcome their circumstances. Beginning our panel, in a survey that I'm a Star posed to students who will be returning to school in the fall, the first question was, what had a bigger negative impact on your mental health? Switching from in-person school to virtual school or returning to in-person school from virtual school? 17% of the students responded that returning to in-person school from virtual school had a greater negative impact on their mental health. Ms. Taylor, why do you think students are having such a hard time adjusting to the switch back to in-person school?
Good evening. Well, let me just say that any change that an adolescent goes through is normal. It's normal. It's when you are really having signs and symptoms of that abnormality that it becomes a concern or an issue. So it's perfectly normal for students to have discomfort in reference to going from virtual school to back to brick and mortar or face-to-face school. So that's perfectly normal for students. So what I would tell those students is to definitely get ready to adjust. It is an adjustment to go from one thing to another that you have not been accustomed to, maybe for 16 or 17 months. When you notice that that adjustment is taking a abnormal amount of time to adjust to, you definitely want to talk to a trusted adult. So if you find that you're becoming extremely sad from going to school, if you find that you're getting anxious in reference to transitioning back to face-to-face, any of those signs and symptoms, when it's extended past about a week or two, then you want to let a trusted adult know that you're having those concerns. So it's perfectly normal. Let's just say, guys on the line today, it's normal for you to feel uncomfortable transitioning back, but you want to make sure that that abnormality does not impact your activities of daily living.
Thank you, Ms. Perry, because I know for me, I had definitely had trouble. Well, I wouldn't say from going back to in-person to virtual school. It was definitely from going to in-person to virtual school with me, because my teachers, I felt like I wasn't getting the same type of, I feel like I wasn't getting more help and work from being in person to a virtual school, because I feel like it was more stress. And also you having to compile work and work together, and then you have to do work from other classes. It was so much stress. And I feel, and not having that socialization with friends. So I had it was a horrible summer this year and school year, because I just feel like I didn't have that much work with my teachers. And also I think being at home is just worse than being in school. But thank you for your insights, Ms. Perry. That was a wonderful, thank you for your advice that you gave us to help us better or help our mental health. Thank you, Ms. Perry. The next question of the survey will be, compare your mental health before the pandemic and now. Is it better or worse? 75% of the students responded that their mental health in the school, mental health declined during the pandemic. Ms. Perry, being that you work in the school system, what advice would you give students who feel like they're having more trouble with their mental health now before the pandemic?
And I'm going to go ahead, Ms. Perry.
No, go ahead. She actually called you Miss Perry. That is.
I know. I was confused. I didn't know if there was another Miss Perry on the phone, but it's okay, Demaya.
Right. It's totally fine, totally fine. But that's a great question. First of all, thank you guys for creating this space for young people. I wish when I was in school, I had this type of space to grow in and to just be able to express what mental health is. So I would say the advice I would give to a student coming from the pandemic now and their mental health is to really embrace the journey, okay? And I say that because I made a brand based off embracing our journey. And simply, we can't control the pandemic. We can't control what's going on, but we can control our emotions, and that can be a little difficult for children to do, but definitely try to control your emotions. Try not to overthink. Try not to try to figure out how to make things work. It's okay not to know, as Mr. Bryant said, it's okay not to be okay. And it's also okay not to know. We have to just embrace the moment that we're in and take it day by day. Because our mental health at the beginning of the pandemic, we probably weren't even thinking about our mental health before the pandemic started. So now we're home. We're like, I have all these emotions. I have these feelings. I have this. What am I supposed to do with this? And so now we're able to assess and address these things. So take it day by day. Don't look at it as like this big old thing we have to figure out right now, but it's a step by step. I'm only 25, y'all, and I'm just now figuring out the practical steps to take to deal with my own mental health. So always embrace your journey and never forget to take it day by day.
Thank you, Miss Victoria, because I know I needed that, because I actually was not thinking about my mental health before this pandemic hit. And now I just realized how not having that socialization with my friends and also being at home, it just affected my mental health. It declined tremendously. I also have another part of a question that I forgot to ask, so I would like to ask this question also. Thank you for your insight. 63% of the students said that the switch back from in-person to virtual school affected them more negatively. Bailey, as a student yourself, I'm sure you had to adjust to switching to a virtual school. Did you have a hard time, or do you know anyone who did? What struggles did you and your peers face?
Thank you so much for that question. For me personally, switching back from going in person and now going virtual, it was harder for me. Dealing with having teachers who are different teachers, because some teachers were able to be online and then some weren't able to deal with the technically of being online. So it was hard because you build a bond with your teachers, but also with your friends, and then dealing with your schoolwork being way more harder, in my opinion, online, and not having that one-on-one where your teacher can ask you for help and have to and explain what you're dealing with. So it's like I have to do everything on my own, and that was just really, really stressful. And then also having 8 classes dealing with the same thing over and over again, it was too much for me.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Bailey. Yes, I had the same problems too. And like, it's just very stressful when you have to deal with 7 classes and your teacher's asking for work after work. And it's hard to manage that time. And also you may have distractions at home that can cause you to not complete your classwork. And then that just brings the extra stress towards you. Thank you, Bailey. Now we will have question 3 from Jamal Blackwood.
Good evening. My name is Jamal Blackwood, and I am in the 8th grade, and I am a proud member of the I'm a Star Foundation. We did a survey to discuss youth mental health during the pandemic. One of the questions on the survey was, how often do you visit your school therapist? The responses were, a great deal, some of the time, never, and I didn't know the school had a therapist. Based on the survey, 0% responded to a great deal, 4% said some of the time, 52% said never, and 50% said they didn't know their school had a therapist. So my first question is to any panel member with the school district. How does the district inform students on the resources that are available at their school?
Good question. Thank you so much, Jamal. So at the school district, what we do is we coordinate everything through the administration and the school counselor as it relates to the mental health therapists that are in the building. All of our schools have access to a mental health therapist at various levels. Depending on the school, some therapists are there every day. Some therapists has 2 schools, so they're at one school 2 or 3 days a week, the other school 2 or 3 days a week. And some of our schools, the therapists are not in the school, they're in the hub, but they come to the school after the child is referred or the parent consents. But every one of our schools have access to a therapist. So the information is given during pre-planning to teachers during that time to let them know who the therapist is, that they have access to full service. That's the name of our partner that we have with Kids Hope Alliance and United Way of Northeast Florida. And so most schools go through their school counselor if a student states they have a concern. So if a student has a concern, the teacher knows to go through their school counselor, who will then pull the student to assess to determine whether or not the student has a mental health need. Every struggle doesn't warrant a mental health need. So if that is the case, then the school counselor can see that student for brief solution focused counseling. But I would definitely love to hear Amastar's feedback in reference to how we can ensure that you guys get the message out, because I hate hearing that 50%. So definitely, if you guys have any input in reference to how we can use other ways to push out the information directly to students. We also have a Facebook page and the district website as well, because we know students these days are definitely social media savvy. And so that is a way that we also push the information out to our schools and to our students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Because I know at my school we didn't have a therapist, but we have a guidance counselor. So if anyone needed help or anything like that, they would just send us to the guidance counselor. But some days he or she wouldn't even be there. So we'll just ask the teachers and they wouldn't care. So we would have to ask our parents to help us with our mental health or anything that's wrong with us. And they'll take us to the therapist, and the therapist wouldn't really help as much. But I think all schools where I'm from and in Atlanta, Georgia should have therapists at their school. My second question is to any panel member in the mental health field. What recommendations would you offer students interested in visiting with the school therapist?
Well, just go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Ms. Taylor.
I was just going to say, definitely let a trusted adult know that you're having some concerns. As I stated, everything does not warrant you to possibly see a mental health therapist. Some things you may need to see a school counselor or a school social worker, but in the event that you may feel depressed or that you have anxiety or that you're feeling suicidal in any way, those are all situations where you need to tell a trusted adult who can then link you to a therapist here in Duval that's located or accessible in your school. So just know that as a student, if you are having any struggles or having any doubts in reference to your mental health, it's okay not to be okay. All right, that's what I tell students all the time. Mental illness impacts 1 in 5. 1 in 5. You know how normal that is? That is extremely normal for you to have some mental health struggles. So you want to tell a trusted adult, and just know that the same issues or concerns that you may be dealing with, you may have a peer that may be dealing with the same issues or the same concerns. So just know it's okay not to be okay. Just know the resources are available to you, and know that it is perfectly common for you to have some mental health concerns.
And Ms. Taylor, I'm glad you said that. Also, we have 4 students on our Alma Star platform who are not from Duval County Public Schools. They're from Georgia, North Carolina, and Ohio. And so, but what I want to do is I'm also going to share this information with the individuals from those school systems too. So I appreciate that.
Can I say this as well? Because it may be just me as I sit and listen. Mental health is not an illness. Let me repeat that. Mental health is not an illness. Mental health is something we all have, and that's a positive thing. That means we're breathing. That means we're alive. We all have mental health. Not all of us will have a mental illness. All of us will be sad at some point. All of us will cry at some point. All of us will be mad. Those are called emotions. We all have them, right? So there are some things that we'll be able to handle ourselves by breathing, by journaling. Then there's other things that are prolonged that we need to seek help for someone to help us, assist us in those things that we can't handle ourselves. So I just felt led to say that, because when I hear people constantly talk about mental health and you constantly talk about the illnesses, no, there's the mental health aspect is when you're smiling, that's mentally healthy, right? So understand that there is a difference. Not everybody who has not everybody who is mentally healthy or mental health has an illness. But for those who do, there's help for you. All right.
Excellent.
Thank you for you guys' responses. I know that I fell into a sort of depression when I was in physical school because my grades were dropping. I wasn't able to socialize with any of my peers or my friends. Not being able to just go outside and just enjoy it because I'm just locked in my house because of COVID. But thank you guys for you guys' responses.
Jamal, is it okay if I say something, Miss Bernie?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. My name is Natalie Shepherd. This is my son, Trey Shepherd. And say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
And we're the co-authors of this book. What's the title of our book, buddy?
Today, my world changed how about children to understand COVID-19.
Yes. And why did we write this book, buddy?
Because we want all children to feel better.
We wanted all children to feel better. And Jamal, you said so many good things, as well as Mr. Dawkins. One thing that you said is journal. Have the children write things down. And we were going through the pandemic, and like all the babies on here said, Trey had a hard time transitioning from school that he loved to being home all day. And this book was birthed from us just journaling every day. So I'll know how he's feeling and what I needed to do and what my family needed to do to help him to adjust to this drastic change that we knew nothing about. And when I tell you this was saving grace for my child, because every day we wrote down how he was feeling. Every day he had an outlet to discuss what was going on in his mind. And I encourage every educator, I'm almost 30 years as an educator. I encourage every educator, every parent to talk to your babies. A lot of the times, because we as adults are having a hard time during this pandemic, we are having a hard time adjusting. So it's difficult to talk to our children, but they need an outlet as well. Trey's book was chosen to be a part of the summer learning week during summer camps this summer. And the conversations with babies and all of the schools that his book was allowed to be read in and children received his books, all the babies want to do, all they want someone to do is to sit down and listen to them and understand what's going on in their little mind. As an educator and all educators out there, we know that it's difficult to teach academically to a child if we don't cover all the others, all the mental, all the physical. So teaching the total child. And this book really helped my son, and it's helping many children across Duval and the nation as well. So I just wanted to say that, Mr. Dawkins, thank you for saying that, because journaling was a saving grace for my child and many children across the nation.
I want to say something.
What do you want to say?
I'm 14 years old, and I'm going to Curran Middle School.
And what grade are you going to?
8th grade.
8th grade. Thank you, everybody. I'm so sorry. I just had to jump in when Mr. Dawkins said that.
Oh, it's okay. And trust me, Mr. Dawkins, you are there. Everybody's giving you a lot of kudos. You and Miss Katrina on this chat on YouTube. So thank you all. Thank you. Back to you, Demaya.
Now we will have questions 4 and 5 from Kennedy Larkins.
Good evening. Question 4 on our survey said, when you tell people about your mental health, do they take you seriously? 30% said a great deal of the time, 40% said some of the time, and 30% said never. My question goes out to Brian Dawkins. I know that you struggled with your mental health in the past. When you tell people about your mental health now, do they take you seriously?
Yes, because I'm very selective about the people that I talk to about my mental health, right? So it goes to that, is specific people that I invite into that space with me that I can have conversations with. There's probably about 4 people that I call my blessed pack that I can have those type of conversations. This is not for everybody. Like when I'm going through something, that's not for everybody to hear. That's for those individuals that I believe that are going to listen to me. I know that they're going to listen to me. And then afterwards, we're going to pray together. So I know that ahead of time. So that's a safe space for me to have those conversations in, again, that I know that they're going to listen to me. I know they're not going to be judging me. And I know, once again, we're going to pray together afterwards. So that's a strengthening thing for me. Even if I go through anything at any time, I know I have that in my back pocket. I know that I have that in my tool belt. I have people like that care about me, that love me. So here's the thing for all of you. Pray about and who are those individuals in your life that you know that you can reach out to. Right now, if you had to call somebody, who is that? Right? And then if you do have those individuals, be thankful about that. So the last thing I was going to mention it earlier. I didn't want to get into it, but the other thing is gratitude. Another thing is the gratitude. When you're in those journaling, gratitude, having the added, think about the things that you are blessed by, you're blessed with, the people in your life you're blessed to have in your life, right? So when all these negative thoughts are coming in, let's begin to focus on the positives in your life. All right?
Thank you so much for your answer.
You're welcome.
Question 5 on our survey said, do you sometimes fake your emotions to make the people around you happy? 25% said a great deal of the time, 25% said some of the time, and 50% said never. This question is for anybody on the panel. Can you please tell us a moment where you had to fake your emotions to please people around you?
Well, I guess I'll share.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I don't know that I fake my emotions when to please people, but there are times that because I'm in the public a lot, that I may be feeling not my best, or I may be concerned about something, but the moment that I see other people, my emotions change because of what I do. It doesn't mean that I'm faking the emotion. It just means for the period of time that I'm with another person or I see people out in the community, I have to put what I'm dealing with to the side to address those individuals. So I don't know that I would ever say that I fake my emotions. It's just that if they saw me privately, that might not be what I would be feeling. But because I'm out in the public, I've learned how to put my emotions about our issues to the side and be in the space with the individuals and be in a positive mood. One of the things that when we talk about being healthy mental health and being healthy, many times people get their emotions from other people's emotions. You know, my mom would always tell me, do not hang around negative people because their negativity drags you down. Yep. And so that's what I try to exude to other people, is always a positive attitude and work with, whether as Mr. Dawkins says, his group of individuals. I also have a group of individuals that I can share my emotions with, and having that group of individuals to talk to is what allows me to be positive no matter where I am and put my emotions to the side.
And Kennedy, I'll just chime in after Dr. Green. So in terms of faking our emotions, especially when it's related to mental health, a lot of times people do that without even thinking about it. It's like instinctively you try to not be vulnerable as a way to preserve your own dignity, right? But I think that it's a very timely question that you ask, because what's going on right now socially, right? In the Olympics, Simone Biles very publicly came out and said, I'm struggling with mental health right now. That takes a lot of strength, vulnerability, to not fake and to just get up on there, and do her routine. So I would encourage all of you to try to channel some of that strength too. And yeah, it's scary, to be your true authentic self, especially when mental health is stigmatized to be a sign of weakness and laziness. We need to change that. We need to change that dialogue. And I hope that your generation, is going to help us do it.
Thank you. And Dr. Green, I have a question for you. As the superintendent of Duval County Public Schools, now knowing that many students in your county are struggling during this pandemic, there was talk of cities shutting down again and cases rising. What advice would you give to a student who is struggling to focus on school and whose grades may be dropping because of the changes they are facing during this pandemic?
Well, if I had a student come to me, which I don't know why I'm saying I've had several students email me, Dr. Green, I'm struggling. And immediately I connect them with someone that I know that is their expertise, that can support them and their families. But before I do connect them, I do ask some clarifying questions, talk to, more open-ended. What's causing you to struggle? Are there other issues that I should know about so that I can provide support? So 2 weeks ago, a student emails me that they're struggling, their grades dropped, and we got services to that student, but in the end found that there were some medical issues with not only that student, but the other family members. And we were able to connect them with health services that were going to support them. We are helping that student come in for summer portion to beef up some of the grades that were not passing grades so that they could retake that credit. We have that student on a plan on how to recover the credits, but it was because they reached out to me and the fact that I could get access to people that could meet that student where they were and meet their needs, that now I have a wonderful email back from that family. Thank you so much. We're going to follow the advice of the counselor, and now the student is in touch with also a mental health therapist, and services can be provided. It's back to the same thing I think you heard from Ms. Taylor, you heard from Mr. Dawkins. Talk to a trusted adult. Students send me emails all the time, and every email I ensure it gets to someone that I know can answer their question, or sometimes it's me directly answering their question. But those adults can get you connected, can get you access. And here's one thing I'm going to share with young people. As adults, we don't always have it all together. We're not always right, but I think one of the young men said he felt like his teachers didn't care. Don't stop connecting with an adult until someone addresses your need. If your teacher isn't the person who answered your question the way you felt it needed to be, then go to your principal, go to your assistant principal, go to your guidance counselor, go to a paraprofessional, go to anyone at that school that you feel like knows you and can get you connected to someone who can help you. And one of the things that I worry about, especially for middle school, you have so many emotions and they're doing so many different things. And sometimes you think your peers know the answer and you go to your peers. They don't always know the answer. Many times they don't know the answer because many times they're going through the same thing you're going through. And sometimes you don't know what to do. So you express yourself in ways that are not positive. And then you're getting our deans involved, and it becomes discipline instead of support. And I just want to encourage, especially our middle school students, when you are angry, when you are upset, go to your principal, someone, and tell them what's happening with you, because more than likely you're going to go in the classroom and you're going to talk back to a teacher, or you're going to say something flippant, and you're sent to the dean's office. The dean is not a mental health therapist. The dean is there to administer consequences for misbehavior. And that's not the best way to get you the support. The best way is go to an adult, let them know what you're feeling, let them know what you're experiencing so that we can connect you. Did I do good, Ms. Taylor?
I'll answer for Ms.
You
Taylor.
did great. I had my thumb up. You did great, Dr. Green.
And Dr. Green, I'm going to answer for Ms. Taylor also, because that's what this is all about. For those of you who are on YouTube and those of our students who are on this Zoom, we're calling this a mental health back to school pep rally, so that you can get all of the hyped up information that you need in order to go back to school encouraged and empowered. And what we just heard from Dr. Green, to the middle school students especially, that's empowerment at its finest. Find an adult. Okay, I'm sorry, Demaya, I broke protocol. It's back to you.
No, you're good, Ms. Bernie. But I would like to give it to Madison to ask, so Knowledge can ask a question.
It seems like we do have a question in the chat from Knowledge, so go ahead.
Hello, my name is Knowledge Ellis, and I'm a proud student of the Alma Star Foundation. My question is directed to Dr. Coker and Dr. Diana Green. Jamal asked a question that asked about therapists in schools. A great deal of students said they didn't know their school had a therapist. This means that the resources that are in place are not being utilized. What do you think as a school board members you can do to make these resources more present?
I'll start with that question. I'll send it to Dr. Green. Is it coming through now? Then I'll let Dr. Green answer the question. If it's not, is it coming through now correctly?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, sorry. Well, I think that these forums are incredibly important for us as school board members, because and I've participated in several of them, hearing student voice about what we need to do to better reach you where you're at. And one of the things that has been incredibly cool about this past year is our students in Duval County have found their voice. And they are letting us know what we can do better. And so I think that, and not just better in terms of communicating about services and availability about services, but about meeting you where you're at. And in just a second, I am gonna ask Dr. Green maybe to talk about one of the new pieces of our services this year that are gonna be available in terms of telehealth. Because we recognize that sometimes that counselor is not on campus or is not available. And so we're trying to expand services. And I also want to brag on Dr. Green on this part. She really does take all of this information, brings it together, and then tries to realign services to best meet our students where they need, where we need to be. So again, I just encourage students to use their voice to let us know how we can better provide support and services, and also how we can better communicate about the support and services that we have available. And again, Dr. Green, I hope you'll let them know about the exciting agenda item that just got passed that you've made happen, that is going to come this coming school year for our children.
Well, thank you, Dr. Coker. It's not done in a vacuum. So the school board has played a tremendous role in listening to students as well. There are two things that will be new this upcoming school year. Last year, our high school students really made their voice known, and we heard their voice. And one of the things high school students said to us is that we know that there are mental health therapists available, but we don't want to be seen going to that person's office. We don't want other people to know. So we did, there was a suggestion, if you could give us resources or phone numbers, but not have it posted all around the school. So everybody's looking at someone reading, if you need support or help or suicide prevention, call this number. So this year, on the back of every high school student's lanyard, all of those resource services for crisis prevention, suicide prevention, there is a QR code, and all they have to do is hold their phone up, and those numbers will immediately log into their contact. So they will have that information in hand. The second part is telehealth. For all of our schools next year, and I do have to say, with the exception of Jean Ribaud and Ed White High School, because they have clinic partners inside the school. So telehealth is not in those two schools, but all of our other schools will have access to telehealth, which is basically virtual. You're virtually talking to a doctor, whether it is for physical health or for mental health. And the great thing about telehealth is that once your parents approve, your services can be done at home instead of people seeing you walk to the mental health therapist office. It can be done in the privacy of your home with your parents. And this is a great opportunity for those students who struggle with telling individuals that I need help. This is something we heard from the students, especially our high school students, indicating, yes, I know the services are there. I just don't want people to see me accessing those services. For our middle school students, I want to encourage or challenge my middle school I'm a Star students to remind your classmates, we have Mental Health Wednesday every month where we are sharing that information. So if they don't know about the information, you need to encourage them to pay attention, because in our monthly Wellness Wednesdays, we share with all 6 through 12 students the information about mental health therapists, who's the mental health therapist for your particular school, and how to access those services.
Thank you, Diane Green. Those are some great advice, and those are some great ideas, because some may feel like they are being judged, and they may want to have security, and they probably don't want everyone to know about their business or what they're going through. So I feel like those are great ideas. Thank you, Ms. Dr. Diane Green. Now we will have Terrence Burney ask question 6 of the survey.
Good evening. This question will help a lot of kids because they might be scared of talking about their mental health. Hi, my name is Terrence, and I'll be introducing question 6. Have you ever sought help from a mental health professional regarding your mental health? 25% said yes, and 75% said no. Dr. Sims, what would you say to the 75% said no to? Have you ever sought help from a mental health professional?
Thank you, Terrence. So I would definitely, want to ask them if they were opposed to seeking help because of that stigma that we kind of are talking about, right? Those high schoolers don't want to be seen going to the counselor because that would indicate something was deficient in them. But that's not true. That's just what the stigma about mental health tells us, right? And so I would instead ask them, what do they think they could gain from those interactions with mental health professionals? Is there anything good that could come out of it? Kind of flip it, to look at that positive aspect. And again, the hardest step of seeking help is the first one, right? Acknowledging I'm going through something really tough and I need to go to that next level to get help. How do we do that? Well, at my hospital, Baptist and Wolfson Children's Hospital, right now we are advocating for a wellness campaign to prevent mental health crises, but to also provide students like you guys and anyone in the community resources to cope and to help them with starting these conversations with adults that they do trust. And it's called On Our Sleeves, the campaign. So on our website, you guys can go download these resources. And we actually have a tip sheet of how you could start the conversation. The first kind of step you would want to, like Katrina Taylor said, and Dr. Green and everyone else, pick a trusted adult. This is somebody that validates your emotions, that you feel safe with, that you know you can confide in, okay? Then you might want to write down what you want to ask. Figure out exactly, what type of support you're looking for. Do you want them to just listen to you? Are you looking for, advice of how to solve a problem? What types of things would you seek from that type of contact? You then would want to practice what to say. If it's a parent, you might say, I've been having a really hard time and I haven't been able to talk to you about it, but I want to get something off my chest, okay? So all these different prompts could set you up to reduce some of the anxiety before you seek that help. But the biggest step, you're right, it's tough to acknowledge that we have something that we need help with sometimes. It's tough even for adults. So I encourage, you definitely to check those resources out, and they could help you guys through that process.
Thank you. And I'll definitely be checking those resources out.
We all have Madison.
Okay. For the next question, I would like to ask Jamie.
Yes, my question is going to be, many students never seek help for their mental health because of the lack of resources, or they feel like their parents can't afford them to get help. So this question is for Brian Dawkins. Since you work with children who come from disadvantaged backgrounds, what resources would you suggest students who can't afford professional help?
The ones who can't, well, you have some resources on this line right now. Seriously, right here on this line right now, that can help anybody who needs it. And so it's a great question. And so I'm pretty sure, Miss Bernie, Miss Betty, that you're ready to send that information over to them, because there's always resources. You always have the ability to get help when you ask. When you speak up, the answer will always be no until you ask. And when you ask, when you have caring individuals, and that's what this line is about, having these conversations, you'll get the answer to that question. So the Brian Dawkins Impact Foundation, we do some things in high schools where we provide some of the same similar resources in more of a digital space. So on your phone, you can do some of the things and go through some storylines, and it teaches you from more of a story mode, images and videos that way about mental health, breaking down the stigma of mental health, but also giving you the resources that you can learn how to manage your emotions yourself by reframing the situation or saying, or if you don't know what reframing means, that means that the situation happens, but it happened, and you can tell yourself how it happened for you to better receive it. Does that make sense? If it does not say no, Dawkins, Mr. Dawkins, that does not make sense, right? So if it's so being able to reframe a situation that was hurtful in my past, I'm talking about me now, I'm raising my hand. Some of the things that have hurt me in my past, I was able to reframe those things to say, okay, so what did I learn from those things? Why am I stronger because I went through that thing? And what will I do differently going forward because I went through that thing? That's kind of reframing the way that I see it. And so when you have those type of tools, you're able to then better handle the things that come with life, the ups and downs of life. Because even if COVID was not happening right now, there still would be ups and downs in life. Mm-hmm. And if every adult would tell the truth and raise your hand, yes, Every one of us goes through ups and downs. And that's just not adults. That's everybody on the face. It's probably close to 9 billion people on this earth right now. Every last one of us goes through ups and downs, right, in life. So being able to have the tools to deal with your emotions, to manage your emotions, because we all have emotions, but our emotions are not supposed to have us. That's the difference. When we know that we have control over our emotions and we can do things, that's extremely empowering. So that's what's in the Brian Dawkins Impact Foundation course that helps high school age kids right now. And I hope that made sense. If it did not, say no, Mr. Dawkins. Because the reason why I say that, because I tell my daughters the exact same thing. And sometimes they're like, Dad, nope, that does not make sense. I do not know what you're talking about. So if that's the case, then you shake your head. I'm fine with it, and we can discuss it a different way.
May I add something?
Please.
Thank you so much. I just want to say, and I know this is a pet rally, Ms. Bernie, and thank you so much for naming it that, because we certainly need it coming up on the upcoming school year. And speaking on a parent side, it's so important to give our children an outlet or a vehicle to express their feelings. That's one of the reasons why we created this book. And also for students, they're going to want to talk if you give them the outlet. And when we created this book, I thought about my students and making sure that someone was home talking to them and letting them just explain what they're going through. That's another reason why we created this book. And I encourage every parent to speak good things into your baby's lives. Every parent to speak positive things into your baby's lives. My son, I tell him he's a Philippians 4:13 young man. And he says it all the time. He wears a necklace around his neck. He has it up in his room. And he says it, with God and hard work, I can do anything. I don't have time to go into his personal story. But please, when you have a chance, go to crashingnervous.com. My son was diagnosed with autism at the age of 3 and ADHD. And there were so many nevers that doctors said that he would not do. And clinicians said that he would not do. And he's crashing them every day because we're providing that support and we're making sure that we speak those positive things into his life. I'm encouraging every educator, when the babies walk through your door, again, we are not faking it. We just have to make sure that we're strong for them as well. Speak good things into their lives. Speak positive things into their lives. I tell my babies all the time, and I ask them to repeat after me. I love myself and who I am, who I can be, and the difference I can make in this world. I have it. I know I have it, and I won't let anyone tell me differently. Thank you so much to I'm a Star and Miss Betty Burney and everyone that's on the panel tonight for this invitation. You are making a difference, and I'm just proud to be
here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shepherd, for your speech. And I love this great conversation we are having about mental health and resources we are gathering to help students who have mental health problems. But we only have 25 minutes left in the panel. So we'll have like a few more questions. And now we'll have Linnea ask questions 7 and 8.
Linnea?
Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, my thing was glitching. Okay. Good evening. My name is Linnea Tucker, and I'm a proud member of the I'm a Star Foundation. On the survey that I'm a Star conducted, question 7 says, do you think that speaking to a mental health professional would help improve your mental health? This question goes out to Bailey Moore. Being that you're a student yourself, do you think that speaking to a mental health professional would help improve your mental health?
I do think that if I speak to a mental health advisor, it will help my mental health a lot to actually know what I have endured and encountered in my life, to know exactly the steps, the proper steps to take to better my health. I think that we all need to talk to one, and I wish that I had someone to talk to. So hopefully I will in the future. Thank you.
Thank you for that answer. Question number 8 says, in the survey that I'm a Star conducted, are there people in your life that you are comfortable talking to? 87% said a few and 13% said a lot. This question really goes out to anyone on the panel, even though some of you guys already said.
Well, since we did kind of touch on who would be somebody you guys would possibly confide in, I'd like to hear from you as well. Like, what are characteristics of people that you would want to share your, emotional concerns with? Because your voices are, what would help us really meet your needs the best.
Thank you.
Some characteristics I may have that I want in a person: definitely trustworthy, loyalness, and like those are the main characteristics I want you to have, because I just don't want any person who just go around telling my business to people, because those people can, not like I care about people judging me, but at the same time I don't like people in my business. So I feel like loyalness and trustworthiness is the main characters that you need to talk to an adult if you're having mental problems.
Absolutely. Yeah. Confidentiality, it's key in my field, right? But even with friends, yeah, you want to make sure that they're going to keep your private information confidential. What else? What else do the stars think?
Personally, I would say someone who listens. I've noticed that when you come to people about things, of course, they want to help you by automatically answering behind everything you say. But I feel as if it's important to listen first, so that I know that you're actually taking heed to what I'm saying, and then answer or give me your opinion. But listening is all like one of the top things I believe is very important.
Absolutely.
I feel like their personality has a great deal to do with it, because I have gone to therapy and my therapist is more like, oh, I'm sorry that you feel that way, than giving me advice on what are to better myself. So I feel like not acting as if you can't tell me the truth about if I'm doing something wrong, or if you feel like I'm making the wrong decision, or if I'm going down the right path or the wrong path. I feel like you should be able to tell me that with a whole heart, instead of, thinking about how I might feel about it, because in the long run, this is a life.
Mm-hmm.
So the truth really matters, and trying to sugarcoat things is not going to help at all.
Right. And again, when we aren't authentic, we don't actually fix anything, right? Things tend to not get better if we don't acknowledge what the issue actually is. We can't help it get better, and so it sounds like you really value accountability and a direct approach so that you can make things, improved. Yeah, absolutely, guys. This great thoughts.
That is, and I'm sorry, Miss Jordan Bell. How old are you again?
I'm 14.
You're 14. Wow.
Wisdom.
Wow.
Right?
Mr. Dawkins, Mr. Dawkins, we call her Kamala Harris. That's her name.
Wow. Wow. I'm blown away by that response. That's not something that I could say that I probably would raise my hand to want everybody to tell me exactly what I needed to hear. Like, it's not a comfortable thing, and a lot of people don't want to feel uncomfortable. And so in those situations, sometimes I know for myself, I can only speak for myself. You try your best to say things in such a way as to help the person without crushing the person. I know that's how I do it. And so for you to have that attitude, though, give me what I need to know so I can move forward and be powerful because of it. That's powerful.
I just really do not like yes men. If you're not going to tell me what I want to know, because sometimes when you sugarcoat things, you don't tell the person what you are thinking truly. And that leaves out a lot of information that they might need to move on from the spot that they're currently in. So for me, it's like if you leave out certain details, or if you're not blunt in that matter, you're gonna leave out a whole bunch of stuff that I probably need to know and that you think is important for me to know. So if it's really important, I feel like that you should go ahead and say it.
Yeah. So might I suggest this then? If you then at any time in the future have to have a conversation with someone, that you set the boundaries and you let them know how you like to be communicated to, so that they'll be able to give you that in which you seek, right? So you set those boundaries and parameters for yourself. All right?
Okay.
All right.
All righty, Damaya, we have to go on to the next question.
Next, we'll have Kara and Kayla Dees ask question 9 of the survey.
During her intro, Miss Marsha Pleasure spoke about stigma. My name is Kara, and I have a fear of being judged if I told someone, because I once had a therapist and they didn't really take me serious. They thought it was just a phase or I was being dramatic. So now I just keep it to myself or write it down. With that in mind, question 9 says, how do you deal with the stigma surrounding your mental health? Do you keep quiet about your mental health because you fear being judged? Yes, no, sometimes.
The results of question 9 show that 24% voted yes, they do have a fear of being judged, 40% voted no, they don't have a fear of being judged, and 36% voted sometimes they fear being judged. Stigma is a real thing. For the question that I'm about to ask, I want Dr. Sims or Ms. Katrina Taylor to answer. And the question is, how would you help the students get over their fear of being judged?
I stated a little earlier that let students know that it's normal for them to have a mental health concern. That's perfectly normal. As I stated, 1 in 5 students are having mental health concerns. So that's what I would let them know first, that it's normal for them to have those. And then from there, I would hope that that student will understand that the same issues or concerns that they may be having, other students and within their classroom or peers may be having those same concerns. And I would also encourage them and let them know that it is someone who speaks out and let others know that they are struggling. That's a strong person to me, for them to be able to voice that they have some concerns and that they need some help. I would hope that they would let us know that they have some concerns or that they need help. So I would say if they're having those concerns also, outside of like individual counseling sessions that students can embark upon, there's also group counseling sessions. So there's groups, so they see that there's peers that may have a common concern or issue that they may be dealing with, that's that same concern or issue that they're dealing with. So those are the 3 things that I would say. That having doubts or concerns is perfectly normal.
That's a flat take it out.
Mute, Dr. Green.
I have it.
Okay. So that's what I would tell students, that is, 1 in 5 students have mental health concerns, and that it's okay for them to have some concerns because other students may be dealing with the same thing. And mental health stigma, it determines mental health stigma is normal as well. There's stigma that exists within our community and different communities because people are ashamed to share that they're having certain concerns. So I would just try to help them to bring down that, that shame or that embarrassment, and letting them know that there are some kids or some students that have similar issues that they may be dealing with as well, to try to normalize it as much as possible.
Yeah, I would just reiterate Ms. Taylor's comments regarding normalization and talking about it, because the only way that we can really normalize and destigmatize mental health issues is by making it public, and making it a day-to-day conversation. And then everyone will learn, oh, I'm not the only one dealing with this, right? My friend deals with it, my parent, my cousin, whomever, and Mr. Dawkins, people that are affluent and athletes, people that we look up to in, media, They go through mental health concerns too. So that's what I would bring in. It doesn't matter how rich you are, how famous you are. Mental health concerns can impact every population, socioeconomic status, it doesn't matter, doesn't discriminate, right? And so bringing that to their awareness and also reminding them, you didn't choose this. You didn't decide I'm going to feel depressed today, right? It happens. There's organic biological underpinnings of mental health concerns. So bringing that into the picture as well.
Thank you for answering Dr. Sims and Miss Katrina Taylor. I'll just give it over to Damaya so she could present the next question.
Thank you, Dr. Sims and Miss Taylor. But now we only have 2 questions left, and now we will ask Ashanti Foster to ask question 9 of the survey.
Hello, my name is Ashanti, and I'll be asking question 10. It states, do you think if you told your parents about your mental health that they'll be willing to help? 65% said yes, that they think their parents be willing to help. 18% said maybe their parents be willing to help. And 20% said they don't think their parents be willing to help. This question is for Bailey Moore. As you being a student, why do you think that parents should listen to their students regarding their mental health?
Thank you for that question. I feel like your parents should listen to you because it's a lot that goes on in your mind day to day. You deal with a lot of social media stuff, but also what you deal with in just general life. So from a personal place, when I had to tell my parents that I was not mentally okay, it wasn't something I did in a day. I had to really get to my own mental state and be like, okay, am I ready to tell them? Because I didn't know how they were going to take it. Are they going to believe me? Are they thinking, oh, you just need time off? Or, not understanding what they were going to say, and just had to really let it out and just say, okay, I feel depressed, or I don't feel myself, and I don't feel okay. And them taking it in and saying, okay, we hear you and I should listen to you. I think that a student should at least, or even a kid should at least try to tell their parent, because you never know what the response is. And if the response isn't well, you do have your guidance counselors or someone else you trust in your school to communicate that with. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your response. This question also is for Ms. Shepherd. You being a parent, what did you do when your child told you about your mental health, about their mental health?
Well, thank you so much for that question. That's an excellent question. With my son, it was a little bit difficult because of his different abilities. However, journaling was a gift, and it let me know every day where he was and what we needed to do to support him every day. Myself, his father, my family, what could we do to make sure? Because like a lot of you that I've heard on here, it was difficult for him to go from being in school every day with teachers that he loved. Shout out to Kernan Middle. They are amazing, but he loved his school, to being home every day. So it was difficult for him. So I saw a lot of things that he'd worked so hard through with his teachers and amazing therapists at his school. Miss Caitlin, shout out to her as well at Kernan. Amazing therapist as well at CARD, which is the Center for Autism and Related Disabilities. He worked through all of those. I saw him regressing. So I knew we had to act quickly. And that was just something that we could do immediately that really helped him. And I found out what he would not speak verbally, he would write down. And it was just an amazing tool for him to get through all of the things that came about because of the pandemic. So I encourage parents, if your child may not be as vocal as the I'm a Star children, and let me tell you, Trey, before he left, he said, Mom, they all are wonderful speakers. So thank you to everyone in I'm a Star and Miss Bernie. But if your child is not as verbal or willing to share their feelings like the I'm a Star children, I encourage every parent to start journaling with their child, even if it's not every day, like we did, once a week. So you will have that mental check-in with your child and have that rapport with your child, I think could make all the difference in the world.
Okay, thank you for your response. I also have another question for you.
We're not going to be able to do the next question though, because we're almost out of time.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll give it back to Madison or Damaya.
Madison, you can conclude our panel.
Okay, since we don't have any more questions, this will conclude our panel today. Again, thank you to all our panelists. Now we're going to have remarks from Marcia Pledger and Mary Kelly Parker from the Florida Times Union, and following them, we will have our founder, Miss Betty Burney.
Ms. Pledger.
While Marcia finds her way over here, I'm Mary Kelly Polka, the executive editor of the Florida Times Union. And on behalf of the Florida Times Union, I would like to thank all of our students who asked questions today and the research they put into this, the time. We very much appreciate everything that they did. And all of our speakers, all of our guests, you all were so informative and truly inspirational. This is information that will help every person who is maybe going through some hard times or just on a good day trying to remind and embrace those good moments. So thank you all for taking the time and putting in the effort to do what you have all done today. We very much appreciate it. I'm going to pass this on to my friend Betty, who for the last 4 events has worked with us to help to really try to inform and engage our entire community. Betty, thank you so much for all of your help.
Thank you, my friend Mary Kelly Polka. On behalf of the Amastar Foundation, I just want to personally thank our esteemed panel. Tonight was about information. It was about resources. It was about encouragement. It was about empowerment. In fact, our publicist, Carla Jones, I asked her, what are we calling this tonight? And she said, when you put it on YouTube, call it a mental health back to school pep rally. And that's just what this was. We need to get our students mentally prepared and hyped and ready to go. Dr. Sims, thank you so much for the information that you provided. Ms. Taylor, as always, excellent information. The Shepherd family, Ms. Natalie and Mr. Trey, everybody needs to read that book, The Day My World Changed. Victoria Perry, thank you for sharing from a provider's standpoint. Bailey Moore, Miss Raines 2021, 2022, and a member of the I'm a Star Foundation who also mentors with I'm a Star. The Honorable School Board member, Dr. Kelly Coker Daniels, who I've watched grow from the time she was an assistant principal to now. Dr. Diana Green, who I always tell her she's my favorite superintendent. She's so supportive. And Mr. Brian Dawkins. As you spoke, the one thing that kept coming to my mind was this: you are Raines Viking and so am I. And we went through Raines during the time when we were told that we were Ichiban #1 and that we only knew excellence. And that's all that you have exuded, excellence. You have taken your platform to a level that's a ministry. It's evident to everyone that this is your ministry. And I just thank God for you. Honestly, I do, for all of the advice that you've provided to our young people. I wish Godspeed for your Impact Foundation and everyone who's given all of those platitudes on YouTube. Please check that out and help him as he reaches children. I want to thank my stars, my babies, my smart, talented, and resilient students. They studied, they crafted their questions, they hosted a focus group. I commend you, and I am so proud of you. I cannot forget their trainer, Miss Journey Butler, who is also a star, but who just graduated and is about to go to the Hill, to Florida A&M University. I cannot wait to see what she's going to become. Florida Times Union, thank you. Wow. We've been doing this now for 4 years. Before I close, I'd like to also say that I'd like to just say that in memory of Dr. Leon Haley, all of you who are on and Mary Kelly, you know that our very first conversation together, Dr. Haley came and he was so informative. He helped our children, and he was the CEO of UF Health, and he died this past weekend suddenly in an accident. And he will be sorely missed. And I always have a student to give the last word, but tonight I'm going to choose two students to give the last word. They are Milton Person and Kayla Dees. The platform is yours.
Good evening. I'm Milton Person. My fellow student stars have worked hard to learn about what is happening with mental health among the youth. And I'm a star. We are solution-oriented students who believe that we can change the world. Tonight's panel has helped us become more informed and has encouraged us to keep striving. When we go back to school this fall, we need to go back whole. That means we need to go back prepared academically, socially, and also emotionally.
For students who are watching on YouTube and Facebook Live, if you feel that you need assistance, please know that AmaStar is here for you. This summer, a group of our student co-workers are developing an Empower Me app to help you make it through the school year. AmaStar will also have toolkits if you need them. Thank you, Ms. Palka and the Florida Times Union team for helping us use our voice to amplify issues that face America's teen. We're very grateful for this platform. As I close, I want to remind you that every child is a star because every child is smart, talented, and resilient. Together, we can change the world, so let's do it.
Thank you again for tuning into our community conversation. I encourage you to keep the conversation going because, as the late James Baldwin once said, for these are all our children, and we will either pay for or profit by what they become. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you, panel.
Good night. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome.
Good night, everyone. Be blessed, everyone.
Good night. Thank you, Mr. Dawkins. We appreciate you.
Good night.
Good night, Dr. Green. Everyone, thank you.
Night.
Good night. Great job, guys.
Night. Thank you all.
Thank you. Stars, have a good night. You guys did wonderful.
Bye.
Bye-bye.